Well, after a couple of days of good gains, we did see that Tata Motors did start off in the red today, but from the low point of the day, that stock has seen a big recovery. And the positive rub-off was even seen on Motherson Sumi, actually. So yesterday, we had a big run in Motherson Sumi. Today, the stock opened under some pressure, but it's moved quickly from the red into the green. Well, we have some numbers flashing for you on the screen. Kaplan Point, the net profit number looked quite good. There's a growth of close to around 20% odd. The revenue as well has seen a growth of nearly around 40%. So that's a good show coming in from Capital Point, at least the numbers that are flashing for you on the screen. Remember, in terms of return ratios as well, the ROC on this one as well is something that stands out. And on the back of that, we have seen a good move in the stock, currently up close to around 4.5% odd. But let's shift focus then from the equity markets. Let's talk about the commodity space. Manisha Gupta joins us to fill us in with what's going on there. Manisha.
Nigel, thank you for that. Well, I actually want to touch upon the international cues because there are plenty coming. You are awaiting the US Fed meeting announcement today in the evening. A 25 basis point of a rate cut, a third time in this year, has been factored in. But it really is going to be about the guidance going forward. Are there any more rate cuts? What does the Fed talk about 2020 going forward in sense of monetary policy? And that is what would be market moving. Apart from that, the US and China trade talk is another thing. While an agreement may not be signed, but the progress seems to be going well. And extension of tariffs is something that the markets really seem to be hinging hopes right now on. T. Gnansekar of Comtrends now joins us to make strategies out of that. Gnansekar, hi. First of all, in case of gold, and 25 basis point of a rate cut seems factored in, and that is the reason we haven't seen the gold prices gain at all. But at these current levels, what are you suggesting?
Well, as you rightly said, it's been factored in mostly. So going forward in December, I think there's a good chance that they might not get a rate cut. And I think the market is adding expectations that possibly around 70% at this point in time that there won't be a rate cut in December. So that could be a bit negative for gold in the near term. And we could be sort of testing support levels once the announcement is out. So the near-term expectation is some kind of a bearish one at this point in time. But having said that, when it reaches some critical supports, which is at 1470 and 1455.60 thereabouts, the overall picture still looks very conducive to sort of go long in gold at those levels because, you still have Brexit uncertainties, the trade war uncertainties. So all of this will support gold in the slightly medium term. So though I'm, bearish in the near term, I'm still, looking at higher levels in the medium term.
Okay. And what's your sense about the metal prices? Because today seems to be the third straight day when you have seen buying come in here. Nickel, of course, continues to fire at all engines. We've seen 60% gains and some more that came in yesterday. We're trading flat right now, but it's not just about nickel. The zinc prices are trading at a 4-month highs. You have copper trading at a 5-week highs. Even as aluminum supplies are enough, we've seen buying there as well come in Shanghai and the LME markets. Would you give it all to the macros like the US and China trade talks, or do you think the individual fundamentals are finally catching up?
Yeah, I think you mentioned that correctly, Manisha. The individual fundamentals to me is finally catching up because, the market is tired of listening to the, swings in the trade talks and all the other stuff that goes with it. But even the announcement that was made yesterday, the U.S. administration official, it did not say that the accord is falling apart. It's just going to be postponed. So that still gives some confidence to the market. So I guess it's just the near-term sentiment which could get dented a bit. But the overall fundamentals, and specifically if you look at copper, is running into a huge deficit month on month, and it's kind of gone up to around 327,000 tons so far, and you have a consumption which is increasing, whereas the supply is not able to meet that. So clearly is a fundamental situation which is going to propel metal prices higher from here, okay. And especially copper. So we are clearly, buying on any dips from here as far as metals is concerned.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for joining in, and Manisha for taking us through that. With that, it's curtains down on Halftime Report. Thanks again for watching. Stay tuned. Business Lunch will take the market action forward.
Brought to you by Blue Star, built on trust.